Hello, I'm Jake and welcome to another PlayStation 1 demo video from the official PlayStation magazine. I got asked by a viewer to do commentary on these videos, or try and do commentary. It's something that I attempted to do when I first started doing these videos, and I don't know, it didn't really seem to work out that great. I'm not brilliant at just doing off-the-cuff commentary like this, but hey, I'll give it a go. So here we have the first game, Mickey's Wild Adventure, the level The Lonesome Ghosts. And this is a game that I own. I remember buying it actually from GameStation, which is a really good, used to be a really good game shop back in the day. Got shut down unfortunately. And it wasn't that good of a deal really, to be honest, because at the time Mickey's Wild Adventure was actually quite pricey. I believe it was £20 when I bought it, and I assumed it would just continue to be like quite a rare PS1 game, but nowadays you can get it for like £3, £4 I'd say. But anyway, as to the game itself, I was expecting it to be really great. Because I love Castle of Illusion and Land of Illusion, two really great games, but when I played this it wasn't quite as good, and I think you can see some of the reasons why from this demo. These ghost enemies, for a start, they just kind of appear and disappear seemingly at random, so that's just one of the ways where you kind of need to memorise the stage if you're going to do well at it. You can see I've died already pretty much, and yeah, these ghosts are just kind of annoying really. You can't really do much about them. There is a cool little shortcut you can see there where you can skip a bit of the level to get higher. I would say this demo is pretty representative of the entire game, to be honest. PlayStation Magazine reviewed Mickey's Wild Adventure in issue number 3 and gave it a 7 out of 10. I don't think I'd go that high, I'd probably give it maybe 5 or 6. But they called it an endearing platform game which, though predictable and derivative, still provides some great family entertainment. A welcome addition to PlayStation. So you can actually throw those little coins, I believe, at enemies, but obviously they don't do anything to the ghosts, and I found it so incredibly hard to hit these bats that I just thought at the end of the day, no point even trying, just try and get through the level as quickly as possible really. And this is probably the most, oh yeah, I'm going for the star. I don't know why, but, you know, managed to get it. This next bit is probably the most ridiculous sort of section from a level design standpoint, because you're running along this bridge. You're pretty much not going to be able to avoid like all of those ghosts there. You're bound to get hit basically, and that's pretty much annoying in terms of like a game design standpoint, because if there's no possible way to avoid it, and imagine if you'd only have had one more hit point there, you'd have had to have started the whole level again just because the game decided basically. Anyway, on to NBA. This was a bit of a confusing one. I've tried playing basketball games in the past and found the controls to be really confusing and don't really know what's going on most of the time. and yeah, this one's no different really. Total NBA 96 again was reviewed in issue 3 and got a 9 out of 10. A lovingly crafted basketball sim and a joy to play. It's the slickest sports game for the machine, and as such recommended almost without hesitation.
In and out. Sun ball. Offensive foul. Intercepted. That's the end of the first period of play.
So next up is Thunderhawk, again reviewed in issue 3, and I'd never played this one before, and it was quite a nice surprise. Pretty interesting and pretty unique actually. The controls take a bit of getting used to, like obviously you're controlling a helicopter, and it's a kind of a bit clunky in how it moves and stuff. You're using the L1 and R1 buttons to rotate the helicopter around, but it's kind of the up and down angles that make this difficult, as you can probably see now. You need to get the right angle to be able to shoot things, so sometimes that means you just have to hover really close to the ground, but then other times you might have to sort of face up or down, but that also means that you move in the helicopter as well, so then you get out of range. So I don't know, maybe there's a knack to it where you kind of have to circle round things, but I don't think I got the grip of it really from this demo. PSN gave it an 8 out of 10, and I can definitely see that. I would love to get this game actually and play the full experience. I think I'd probably end up really enjoying this one.
Suggest evasive action. Bandits incoming and looking real mean.
Thunderhawk II was made by Core Design, and although they'd been a long-running company up until this point, starting on, I believe, the Atari and the Amiga, the game they released after this was Tomb Raider, and of course that's where they saw a huge boost in success from then on.
Main target dead ahead. Repeat, main target dead ahead. Suggest evasive action. Bandits incoming and looking real mean.
One of the frustrations I found with this demo, or this level at least, is that you have these primary targets, but there are kind of targets almost everywhere, and it doesn't really show you, unless you're actually targeting the target, which ones are primary targets and which ones aren't. So you're spending a lot of time just kind of wandering around the map, hoping you'll come across these primary targets. Maybe I'm missing something and it does actually show you, but from my experience here, it seems pretty obscure where you can actually find these.
Suggest evasive action. Bandits incoming and looking real mean. Main target dead ahead. Repeat, main target dead ahead. Target dead ahead. Repeat, main target dead ahead. Main target dead ahead. Repeat, main target dead ahead.
Okay, so what's next? Lone Soldier. This is a bit of a funny one. I was hoping from the screenshots that it'd be a bit like Siphon Filter, but as you'll see, I don't think it's anything like Siphon Filter really. Despite the game being on several lists at the time of the world's worst video games, Play magazine actually gave it a 92%, bafflingly. I wonder if any gifts were exchanged for that little review score there. Hopefully not, but as you can probably see just by looking at the game, it is awful to control. There's these weird tank controls that don't really work with the aiming system, and yeah, not much feedback on what's going on at all. So we know that Play magazine thought this game was absolutely amazing. What did the official PlayStation magazine think? Well, they gave it a surprisingly high score of 6 out of 10, saying it's great looking, addictive and destructive, with a distinctive viewpoint, but let down by dodgy controls and little exploitation of its enormous 3D potential. I'd say it's shit and I don't want to play it again. Next up is a bit of a mini documentary from Gremlin Interactive, the developers of Actua Soccer. So it's time for me to just shut up now and let you watch the video if indeed you are interested. Or you can skip ahead a bit to the next part of the demo if this is something that you're not that interested in.
Basically, I'm writing and designing the logic and the game intelligence. That part of the game will involve user control, so the user can make the game playable, make it look realistic, join the animation together and make the actions flow into each other. Beforehand, most people just worked on sprites, but now we've got motion capture animation.
Motion capture is recording movements of people or things in 3 dimensions, so a computer can animate figures using real movements rather than artificial animations. A person doing the motion capture has to be covered in small reflective markers. They then can do their movements inside an area surrounded by 6 cameras. The cameras record the images of the markers, and then the computer converts that into 3-dimensional movement.
It gives it a very much more realistic edge. You can really picture the person who originally did the moves. It looks like real footballers. It does make it a lot more technically complicated. The continuity particularly, we have to use a technique called tweening, I can reveal that much, which is in-betweening, where we have to meld one motion capture into another smoothly so you don't see the joins where they were.
The 44 main ranking countries in the world, you can play various competitions, selecting from those 44. You can play league systems, cup, competitions, friendly games.
The main difference between the PSX and the PC version is in the way the players have been rendered. What we've tried to do is make use of all the hardware capabilities of the PlayStation. For example, the players have been rendered using a lot of polygons to give them much more detail. And when you look at them on screen, they look a lot more solid. If you look at the PC version, the players kind of spin around and from some angles, and it looks a bit strange, but not on the PlayStation.
We took inspiration from sort of the modern TV stations, Sky Sports, things like that, and tried to get it to look as real as possible.
I'm Neil, and I'm a musician. I write most of the music for this company. Do a few sound effects, record speech, and motivate the masses with my larkish humour. I've just been doing some rough demos at the moment and been writing a few words with a couple of other guys. Been doing a bit of the script and stuff. It's coming along. I think it's going to be sharp and to the point.
Well, the sound we use is the commentator Barry Davis, as everyone knows, and he did about 4,000 samples for us, which is far in excess of what we expected.
I'm working on a wall of honour on my board up there on the wall. At the moment I've got Andy Sinton and Chris Woods, as you can see, and also I've got When I Met the Beautiful South and a few other people up there, but Barry Davis, when I get my picture developed, Barry's at the top of that.
As I've said quite often, it's become a bit of a cliche of mine, one man's commentator is another man's irritation. And so I believe what you don't say is as important as what you do say. And commentators actually, as a breed, we all talk too much. It's almost a qualification for the job. It's not so much liking the sound of your own voice, but you do sort of go with the flow. Now, I've seen sort of some things in arcades, and I can remember sort of my son having, when we first bought him a computer years ago, I mean, I'm of the generation that once children know far more about these things than the parents.
Came up with the actual name, Actua Soccer, and designed the logo. Actua meaning actual action taken from the motion capture rather than anything virtual, which I'd rather got tired of. Yeah. Well, people took it too far. William Gibson and Rudy Rucker put out the map and everybody abused it and everything became very un-cyber.
My job as producer is basically keeping all the programmers, graphic artists, musicians, commentary programmers all in the same direction, making sure that everybody's pulling together as a team, working together as a team, and in the end to produce the best football game there is on the market.
Well, I'll tell you what I think of Actua Soccer. I think it's the most realistic game play-wise and player-wise. How the players run about, little back heels, little flicks to each other. It's the most realistic looking game I've ever seen. The artwork's absolutely amazing. The front end makes you want to play it. I've seen it and I was drooling over it myself. I think it's amazing.
And for me to actually appear in it, or not appear in it, but the movements appear there, it's like I say, it's a dream come true.
So I played another core design game, Shell Shock, on another one of these demos, and Assault Rigs is nothing like that. Shell Shock was like a tank simulator, really heavy sort of controls. This one, the tank, as you can see right off the bat, just completely zips around. You can strafe, you can fire tons of bullets all over the place, and you're collecting these massive gems. I think the premise of the game is you're kind of in like a simulation, so that explains like the weird visuals and the gems sort of stuff. But then there are buildings around with like ladders and stuff like that, so a bit of a mishmash of art styles, I suppose. But yeah, your aim is to basically collect all the gems around the level. And it gets pretty bullet hell actually, to be honest, does this game. You really need to use the movement of the tank. And you can get up some pretty good speeds, and there's like ramps and stuff over the level as well. As you can see, just had to zip past those bits there because I was just getting absolutely annihilated from the front. You can see at the bottom left, the front of my tank has just been pretty much destroyed now. Yeah, again, this is just a pretty unique game, I would say, like with the floatiness of the controls. Never played out like it really. This one was reviewed in issue number 2 and it got a 7 out of 10. It said, deceptively simple looking game with hidden depths. It makes a welcome change from racers and beat 'em ups, and the 2-player game is a blast. So that's it for demo number 5. Do let me know if you enjoyed this commentary style rather than the text at the bottom as I've been doing in my other demo videos. And do check out my other videos on the official PlayStation magazine if you haven't already. I've been Jake of the Retro Perspective, and I'll see you next time.